with what I've got on the brush, but keep things fairly dark. And let's see how that's going to work here. It's not too bad. So little bits of dark within the dark reflection. And the underside of the that circle is, is fairly dark as well. It's a sort of linear shadow there. Put some more darks in there as well. And then a line of dark shadow along that burst of gold that I put in before. Along the edge of the clarinet. I'm going to come back and put in some very bright whites in there in a bit. Just mixing in a bit more of the bluey colour to darken some of those shadows. And I'm starting to think we're not too far off leaving things as they are. So what I'm going to do now is just clean my brush and get some nice highlights going. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is grab a little bit of titanium white, which is far more opaque than the tinting white. And now, despite my grumblings earlier, I quite like the almost transparent nature of the hat, and there's not really much there. So I'm going to resist the temptation to do too much here, but I'm going to put just a little highlight there of the pure titanium white, and then a little line of highlight down the edge of the hat, and that's it. That's all I'm doing for the hat. Now, I'm really tempted to put in the collar of this guy, but this bit here I feel is working so well. That's it. I'm done with that guy. So over to this chap here, though. Now, I do want to include his collar. So really all I want is enough to show that he's wearing a collared shirt. I think it's not working quite as well as I hoped, but it's okay, I think. I don't think I need to go too crazy. Now I've got this line of dark around there, so I'm going to echo that with a line of the white. And I was about to put a highlight on his shoulder, but I don't think it needs it. Let's grab a bit more paint here. Okay, on to guy number 3. So here, just put a little lick of white around there. And that brush stroke went on a bit heavy, but it's not too bad. It's just to bring that arm out a little bit from the background. Again, I don't think I need to do too much to this guy's head or even the collar, really. So I think I'm going to leave that. Now for this gent over here, I put in the shadows on his collar, or hinted at them before. So we'll just show some indication. And again, there's not much info there, but I personally feel that's working reasonably well. Now, on to, I think really all I want to do now is put a very pale green highlight in there. So we'll grab, whoops, sorry about knocking the camera there, grab some of the greeny colour that I had before. Get a little bit of water on the brush. So I've got a nice, very pale green there. Put in some of those muted, rather muted highlights. Grab a bit more of the white, mix that in thoroughly in with what's left on the brush. And then within those little highlights I just put down just put a couple of areas. Which are brighter again. And then I'm going to grab a bit of the cad yellow light and mix that in with what I've got left on my brush. And then I've just remembered I intended to put some highlights on the clarinet. So I'm just going to get a different brush a moment. Okay, so we're going to go still with the filbert, but we're going to go pure titanium white. And I had a couple of highlights there. I mean, I don't know that I think this sort of says banjo, because although it's not described that well, the posture of the guy works well enough. This says, I can't remember, is that a French horn? I can't remember, but that says big horn. Is it, or is that a tuba? I honestly can't remember for the moment. But it's not that well described, but I think it kind of works. You know, I think you'd know what that is. The trumpet is okay, just because of the posture of the guy. I mean, this guy could almost be holding a stick, but in context with the other three, I think it's okay. I think I could just about get away with it. I'm going to just mix this white in with a bit of the sort of gold colour that I've got left on the palette, and I'm not going to do very much. And I want to try and keep the blue watercolour that's there from the beginning of the painting, but I just feel the need to just put that a little bit of that top edge in, just like I've done there. And I think I'm going to resist the temptation to do any more. So I think I'm going to call this one, I just need to sign it obviously and date it, but I think I'm going to call this one Taking It to the Streets, or Take It to the Streets, or something like that. So the idea was that, if you remember, although these three are in the foreground, they're barely described. There's no colour at all. And then my hope is that, you know, the focus, even though these guys are behind these people, the focus is on these guys, and then the background's kind of abstracted, but the mix of colours. I was originally tempted to include some of the text which appears on the shop windows and things, but I think that would make it too specific a background. And I've decided to leave this echo of this guy's head visible. And I quite like, you know, some of the original drawings showing around this guy's head and arm. I think that adds a really nice energy to him. I think it looks like he's, you know, just moving slightly. And as mentioned before, I like the simplicity of this guy on the left. I mean, bits of it are wrong, really, but I kind of let loose a little bit with the waistcoat with this one, whereas perhaps I was a bit too linear on these guys. But I think the overall effect, I think it works quite well. I think they look like a nice ensemble. So there we go. Let me show you some better images of the finished painting.